Hello, my name's David Seaman, and this is the Three Lions Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Three Lions Podcast. My name is Russell Osborne and this is an independent England football supporters podcast. I hope I find you well. Hope you enjoyed the opening episode of 2025. Just a gentle one to ease us into the year. Now I've got here an episode that I hope you'll find both enjoyable and interesting. Some of you may have noticed that whenever I've done a recording from an away game, I like to name check some of the flags that are hung all around the away ends that we go to. I love seeing all the crosses of St George decorating a section. I think one of the best images I can remember was that from Euro 2004 in Portugal. It was Benfica's Stadium of Light. 3-4 tiers, all decorated with flags, all with names of clubs or towns across them. And it seems to be a home nations thing. The Scots do it, Welsh and Ireland, they do the same. Other countries do seem to be catching up, wanting to do the same. I think this was evident in the recent Euros. Slovakia, Slovenia, the Dutch. The Germans will also do it as well. But take a look back on some of the footage from the 66 World Cup final. Amongst all the rosettes and homemade banners that were probably made out of bed sheets, the flags that were being waved, well, they weren't crosses of St George. They were the Union flag, the flag of the United Kingdom, that consists of the St George's Cross of England, the St Andrew's Cross of Scotland and the red diagonal St Patrick's Cross. Many will know it as the Union Jack. I grew up referring to it only as the Union Jack when flown from a boat. I don't know if that's still the case, but people will know the flag as either the Union flag or the Union Jack. But back to the football. It was 1980 when England once again appeared on the international stage in the Italian Euros. A couple of St George's crosses were seen here and there, but it was still dominated by the Union flag. And now many of them were beginning to have club names or names of towns written across them. And the same was seen in Mexico by those that went in 86, the German Euros in 88, and the same in Italy in the World Cup of 1990. Maybe a few more St George's crosses had crept in by then. But it wasn't until Euro 96, the home-hosted tournament, that we really saw a transition from the Union flag to the St George's Cross. There were plastic bowler hats with red crosses on them, advertising various products, be it Snickers, Mars or the Sun newspaper. They were also being endorsed by various celebrities of the time. It was widely believed that the Union flag was seen as a symbol of hooliganism by football fans, which is no secret that England had a problem with back in the 70s and 80s, but also with the Union flag encompassing all the other home nations, and especially as we played Scotland during that tournament, Euro 96, some may have found it a little bit strange. So, almost overnight, the flag switched for England fans. And it was also at that time when Britpop, or Cool Britannia, came to the fore. The music, the arts, and the Union flag was kind of taken by that movement. Noel Gallagher had it on his guitar. His brother, Liam, was pictured with Patsy Kensit on the front of Vanity Fair magazine under a Union flag duvet. with matching pillows, I might add. And then Spice Girl, Geri Halliwell, famously wore a dress with it on at the 97 Brit Awards. But England fans, well, since then, have kept hold of the Cross of St George. Now, when an England game comes along for many, it's out the door, keys, wallet, phone, your ticket, of course. You'll pick up that plastic bag or the drawstring one that contains your pride and joy, your treasured flag. That flag that has travelled with you home and away for years, been to as many countries as you've got stamps in your passport. It's got beer stains on it. It's got mud on it. It's a little frayed in places, but it's seen some sights. It's been hung in a faraway town in squares. It's been hung from the upper tiers of stadiums, blocking the view of those in the lower tier below. Your mates have texted you saying they've seen it on the telly. You've saved it from being stolen from foreign ultras intent on being photographed with it upside down. Some, I know, had theirs hung pride of place at their wedding. And if you go on various England sites or football sites in general, you'll often see the same question come up time and time again. Where'd you get that flag from? Where's the best place to get a flag made up? And the one consistent answer is Barmy Flags. So I'm delighted to be joined by Charlie Barlow from Barmy Flags. Charlie, hello.
Hi.
You right?
Not too bad, thank you.
Oh.
Sat in my car here in the freezing north. It's cold up north at the moment.
You got the snow, have you?
Yeah, literally deep snow, and now it's starting to melt, and then it freezes, and it's like a frozen fog. It's horrible, absolutely death trap to walk. Yeah. I have to walk around with these spiky shoes now. I've got these little things which you put over your shoes because it literally is impossible to walk on the pavements around here.
Really?
They're just death traps.
I didn't know you could get shoes like that, but I don't envy you, I have to say. Down south, I haven't got it. Listen.
Oh, no, it's seriously, it's like flipping Iceland. Well, it's like the Antarctic here, or Arctic. It's covered in this white, horrible, frozen snow, and it's not going away. It's horrible. Yeah, 4 days we've had it now.
Well, wish you all the best. We won't keep you too long in the snow because, I wanted to have a chat about Barmy Flags. And I mean, everyone knows about them or you guys, and they'll get your flags from you. But I thought, you know what? I think people would be interested to know a little bit about the company, how it all came about, sort of the inspiration, and how long you've been going.
Right. Okay. Well, put it this way, I've always been in textiles, and I'm a qualified textile designer and textile technologist. Right. But back in the, I'm getting on a bit now. I've been doing this now 35 to 4 years, so it's a long time. I started working in textile mills and in the north, as you know. I mean, I'm going back as far as Margaret Thatcher times, and she didn't protect the foreign imports coming in from abroad, and textile mills and companies were just closing down one after the other. Now it's sort of going from one to another, and then that was shutting down, and then that was shutting down. And in the end, there weren't any textile mills to work in. So I was offered a job at Marks and Spencer's as a fabric technologist. And I went down to Baker Street in London, had an interview and everything, and they said, we've got 4 more people to see, but there's about 6 more. There's 6 jobs, we've got 4 more people to see. We set one on, so it's highly likely that you've got the job. You've got all the qualifications, you've got the experience, the job's yours. Yeah. So I went out Baker Street, and I was like, got my job. It was £12,000 a year. Now, in them days, £12,000 a year was a lot of, that was a good job. That was, so I was like jumping on joy. Yeah, I've done it. Well, I'm walking out. I shouldn't be telling you this, but anyway, I was walking down, and this guy was he got these cards, and he was doing this sort of chase a lady thing where you have to find the queen. I think it was the Queen of Hearts, and he spins the cards around, and you have to put fiver on the card that you think is the queen. The 3 cards he shuffles around.
Yeah.
Anyway, so whatever you put on, you get back. So I put a fiver on it, and he turned it over, and sure enough, it was the queen. And I won 10 quid. So then I put 10 quid back onto the card, and I got 20. So it kept 20. And I thought this is too good, because there was a little nick on the corner of the card, a tiny little turn up, minute little turn, but it was just enough for me to follow that card. I knew where it was. Anyway, so I've got it up to about 50, 60 pounds, and I thought, right, I'm off. This is my day. Yeah. Everything's going right. And then, anyway, shouted, "No, where are you going? Where are you going?" There was a big crowd coming round at the time. "No, where are you going? Where are you going?" I went, "Oh, it's all right. I'm 60 quid up." So I was off, and he went, "No, come back." So I said, "Oh, go on, you've got it. You worked it out." Blah blah blah. So anyway, so I put 60 quid on, and I won 120. I thought this is just too good to be true. You see. Now there was a NatWest Bank nearby, and I thought, I'm gonna. I walked in and I drew out, I think, about 200 quid. I went back to the where they were playing this game, and they were, "You're back." I went, yeah. Anyway, so I put a tenner on just to make sure, and I won 20 quid. So then that was it. I thought, right, I'm putting it all on. I think I put about 250 quid on this card, and it turned it over, and it was a tour club.
Oh, I could see it coming.
I lost it. But anyway, that taught me a big lesson. It really taught me a lesson not to trust anybody. and it made me a little bit more streetwise. So even though it was a bad experience, it has taught me well for the rest of my life, sort of thing. I was only young. I think I was 27 at the time. So that was that. And I came back. I didn't get the job at Marks and Spencer.
Oh,
no. And I always thought it was because they'd followed me, because it was right outside the Marks and Spencer. So somebody from Marks and Spencer, one of the interviewers or somebody, saw me doing what I did and thought, this guy's a flipping idiot.
He's too much of a risk.
Yeah, if he's going to be that stupid, he's not working for us. Anyway, so I got a couple of weeks later, I got a minute little envelope. It was really small. I thought, what's this? It's like one of the little gift things you get from a when it's Christmas or something. I opened it up, and there was a minute little letter, really small. It said, "Dear Charles, sorry, you were unsuccessful in your interview. We cannot go into the reasons for this. Hope blah blah blah," and that was it. So I didn't get a job, but I was still working in textiles at the time. And then what happened was, I think that place I worked at a place in Leeds. Funny enough, I had to drive 36 miles every day to Leeds, and I worked there for 14 years, and that's when I first started making a few flags, and it was around about 1991, and I had a friend who was a Man United fan, and he was going to Rotterdam to the Winners' Cup final when they played.
So they played Barcelona. Was that
Barcelona? Yeah.
Mark Hughes goal? Yeah.
Yeah, Mark. So this guy said to me, "Could you make me a flag? I'm going to the Rotterdam final." So I said, "Yeah." So I made it. He said, "How much you want for it?" I said, "I don't want anything. I just do it for fun," because I was working. So I just did it in my own time.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he took it to the game, and then he came back, and he went, everybody was asking me where I got that flag from. Everybody. It just stood out compared to all the other ones. It just stood out. So a guy called, you've probably heard of him, he's called Andy Mitten. He does the United We Stand fanzine. He also works for the Athletic, and he does
Yeah.
thought he right. So he's a correspondent on 442 Verisode. He's a bit of a, he's a journalist. Anyway, he was only young at the time, and he started this United We Stand fanzine, and said why that. It was I knew him. He was only young. He was only about 17 or 18. He was a lot younger than what I was, and he said, "Why don't you put an advert in our fanzine?" Now, in them days, the fanzine was just a bit of, it was cheap A4 paper folded in half with a staple, and it cost about, I don't know, 50p, I think it was, or something. So he said, "Why don't you put an advert in and to make flags because everybody's wanting to know where that flag was made." So I said, "Okay, so if you make me a flag, I'll put it in for free." So I made them a black and red Union Jack with United We Stand through the middle. In return for an advert. Well, he put the advert in the fanzine, and then the phone. Well, in them days, it was fax and phones.
Yeah,
it was like, how much is that? How much? So I started making them, and to start with, because I was working, I was doing them for nothing. Somebody said, you ought to start charging for these. But you're doing it for nothing. I said, yeah, I just like making flags. It gives me something to do. I'm saving money because I'm not going out drinking. I'd come home from work and knock up a flag or something. Or work on a flag. Anyway, so cut long story short, he said, "Do you want another advert in the next month's issue?" And I went, "Yeah, okay." He said, "So you've got to give yourself a name. We can't just put flags for sale. Can't you think of a name for the business?" And I said, "I don't know, Football Flags UK or football." He said, No, you don't want it. You want something a little bit catchy, something that people can remember. What about Barmy Flags? Because you're a bit balmy, aren't you? So I said, I don't like that. He said, No, it's really good. Trust me. Barmy. No, this is a 17-year-old telling me what I should do. And I mean, I was about 37 or something. I don't know how old I was, but a lot older than he was. And anyway, so yeah, I'd go for it then. So anyway, put the advert in the fanzine, Barmy Flags, get your customised flags and banners, blah, 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 Euro ways and all this sort of thing, with my phone number. Well, I was at work, and the phone was ringing whilst I was at work. And I said, "I can't speak now, I'm at work." I want to order a flag. We're going to blah, 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 wherever it was. Well, we need a flag. How much is it? So I started charging like 40 quid or 30 quid. And really, that's how it all started.
Wow!
And then that was it. But they were all United. It was all Man United to start with. It was because somebody would buy a flag, and then he'd take it, show his mates, and his mates would be United fans. So they ordered it. So it was all United to start with. And then a guy said, "Why you ought to do more flags?" Because I was doing about 800 quid a month in Man United flags. Somebody said, "You ought to do all teams." So I said, "I don't know." And I started working it out. 92 league clubs at the time. I don't know how many there are now, but I remember thinking 92.
Yeah.
That there's a business here.
Absolutely.
So, but then I was made redundant from the firm I was working for, and I ended up to an agency. There was just no jobs at all in textiles, nothing. It was dead, gone. It was finished. So I went to an agency, and they got me a job working for a bank, that West Lending Centre in Manchester. So didn't really hated the place, but anyway, it was a job.
Yeah. And
then so I was working there, and I was only getting peanuts. It wasn't good pay at all, and I walked out in the end. It was I just didn't like the job, and I walked out, and I thought I'm going to start this flag business properly.
Yeah.
And so I went to the Oldham Chamber of Commerce, and I gave them. They said, "Well, what you got to do? You got to do a business plan. You got to say how much, how much do you think you could make a month, and how much expenditure is about this and that." So I made this plan, and then I handed it in, and I had to go back a week later to see whether I was successful in the business startup. And they said it was absolutely fantastic. It's brilliant what you're doing. Now, normally, you've actually started the business already. Now, normally, we wouldn't give you the startup because you've actually already have started
Okay.
up. But I think it's such a brilliant idea. I think we can just bend the rules a little bit on this one. So they give me £4,500 to start the business up, which I then got some property, and that was the rent for the year plus a little bit left over for myself. So I had 1 year's rent and a property, and it was like a craft centre where people could come around Saturdays and Sundays and look at all the different crafts that were being made. And
I see.
And I had this tiny little room. It was far too small. I mean, it was better to be working from home than it was to work in this other unit. But anyway, I did, and it got in the papers and a few, local paper, and got local magazine and whatever. And then I thought, right, I need to start advertising. Apart, not in the United magazine, but in general magazines.
Yeah.
442 and not Football Monthly. God, that's showing my age. Anyway, I made some business cards. That was it, and I looked at the fixtures, and Millwall were playing Bury,
right,
on a Wednesday night, and I thought, Millwall, they've been bringing thousands up. So I went to Bury on a cold Tuesday or Wednesday night. To sort of meet the Millwall fans as they were coming into the stadium and giving out cards and things. Well, there was only one coach.
Oh, right.
That's all there was. I mean, I don't blame him for not going to Bury on a Tuesday night in that sort of weather. But there was one coach, and I give these cards out, and I met a guy called Brian, and he said he run the Millwall Young Lions at the time, and he said, "How much would it cost for this flag like this?" It was only a St. George with Millwall through the middle.
Oh yeah.
And I said, "No, I don't know, about £30." He said, £30? He said, "Oh, right, we'll have that." Anyway, so I made it and sent. Oh, that was it. I actually went down to his house. I drove it down. On a Saturday morning, and we met up and went to his house. It was quite near it wasn't the Den, it was the new stadium.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember. It was just around about the time anyway. And I don't know if it was the Den or was it
Bermondsey way, isn't it?
It was definitely new. Yeah, you lived in Bermondsey. Anyway, so he made me breakfast and a cup of tea and all that sort of thing. And they said, "You shouldn't have come all the way down with." I said, "Well, I just came down because there was a game that day as well. So I was going to give some more cards out for the home team, home supporters. So I wanted just to drive the flag down. But anyway, so cut long story short, they then ordered the Young Lions. They ordered this 50-foot St. George. Wow. It was huge, and it was behind the goal for age. It was one of the very first big flags that how they get surfed around before the game.
Yeah,
it was one of the first ones. It had the Millwall through the middle, had the current crest and one of the old crests in each corner.
Okay,
and that was the first big one, and that got into the newspapers and got into the magazines, and people said, "Where did you get that from?" And then it came from me, and then it came from us. So my next one was Tottenham Hotspur. I went down to a Tottenham game. They were playing Leeds, and I, strangely enough, it all kicked off, and there was a bit of trouble between Tottenham and Leeds. I was stuck in the middle with the Tottenham fans. We got ambushed by a lot of Leeds, and strangely enough, I don't know why, but I ended up with the cop, grabbed the cop but the scruff of my neck and dragged me away and told me to keep away. And I wasn't actually doing anything. I was not neither Leeds nor Tottenham.
No.
I was just in the middle. And for some reason, this copper on the police horse took a dislike to me and just dragged me away with the scruff of my neck. Anyway, so but I made another big flag that for Tottenham. It said Chingford through the middle. That was about 30-foot flag. Wow. And really, those are the first two flags that started people saying, "Where do you get your flag? Where do you get that flag from?" Because then that was it. I started advertising in 442 every month, and people were literally cutting my advert out. I was told that people cut my advert out and put it into a scrapbook.
Really?
Because I always had a picture of the latest flag that I made, and then it would say Barmy Flags, get your customized flag and the phone number and so on. And people were cutting adverts out and saved them like it was a weird thing. Not everybody,
no.
But I know that people did it because I'd get a phone call saying, Why have you not advertising this month's 442? I said, because I owed them some money, so they wouldn't put me an advert in until I paid. And they went, well, you're gonna pay, aren't you? Because I collect the adverts, I cut them out and put them into a book.
How strange.
Anyway, but I was back advertising 442, but it was a lot of money, and I don't think I needed to advertise because people were, when you buy a flag. Yeah, when you buy a flag, you don't just stuff it away in your drawer, and you're not selling personal loans, or you're not selling something that goes in the drawer or cupboard. You're selling something that you hang up and everybody sees it, and they say, "Where did you get that from? Who's made that?"
That must be like a real sense of pride for you, because if you turn the TV on and a game's on, you must see flags that go, "That's mine. I know that one. I remember doing that one." And that must happen all the time.
I do that. To be honest, when I'm watching, if there's a game, I'm not watching the football. I'm looking in the crowd saying, that's one of mine. Yeah. That's mine. But when I see one that isn't mine, it gets me really happy. Who's made that? Who's done that one? That's not one of mine.
You must take some ideas though from them, do you? Or I mean, how do the ideas come about for the flags? Because I mean, obviously there's the general St. George's cross, which people will put a name across the middle and maybe a crest either side or something. But how can sort of people get a design from you?
They don't get a design from me. That's what I do. I don't make. Well, I do sometimes. I do now make a few stock flags and put them up for sale, but 99% of it comes from the customer. So the customer will ring me up or email me and say, "This is what we want." So at the moment, it's quite popular, especially with the St. George's. Is the postcode, and I always say, sometimes they say, "Can you put my whole postcode in the corner?" I say, "No, you don't want any whole postcode, because if you're abroad and somebody sees on the TV your postcode, they're going to know that your house is empty, or So
good words of advice that.
I always say, just put the first part of your postcode, so it'll tell you where your area is. Yeah. So at the moment, what's very popular is the postcode. The poppy is very popular.
Oh yes.
Then obviously the club crest, and where maybe where they come from through the middle, or the team that they support through the middle. It's not usually the team, it's where you come from. So they might, through the middle of the St. George, you might just say Cheltenham. It's whatever they want. Whatever they want, I can do.
Wow. And they're all hand stitched, aren't they?
Well, no, they are. They are and they're not. when I first started, it was all fully stitched. That's what got me my name. But then competition came along, and people started offering printed flags, which were a lot cheaper than mine. Nowhere near as good, but they were cheaper. And sometimes people go for the cheapest option. So then I thought, well, maybe I can do printing as well. So I did. So I started doing printing, just really to compete with people offering cheaper flags.
Yeah.
But we tend to try and use a heavier weight material and stronger print. So even our printer stuff looks better than other people's printer stuff, because the stuff from China is absolutely awful. It really is. You can hold it up, you can see through it.
Yeah.
But ours, when you get one of our printed flags and one of the flags that come from abroad, and they're next to each other, you can still see the difference.
Can you?
But they're still nowhere near as good as the stitched ones. But at this day and age, it's very, very. I mean, people are, worried about money and everything. So the days of 15, 20 years ago, when people were just spending silly money on flags, I think those days are gone.
No.
It's very rare that I get an expensive order. But probably get one or two a month. But 20 years ago, I was doing one a day. An expensive flag one a day. But I
was going to say, how long does it take? I mean, you say about maybe the current preferences of having a name on a St. George and maybe a poppy and a crest. How long would it take to make one of those? Well,
it's a very hard question to answer that, because what we do, we keep a stock of letters and a stock of material and a stock of pre-cut out panels. So obviously, when you make something, you just get those St. George and you select the letters and you can pin them on and stitch them on, tack them, stitch them, and all that sort of thing. And you could, because everything's pre-prepared, you could probably get it done in about 3 hours.
Okay.
But if you were really timing yourself, so you had no stock letters, you had to start
from scratch. Yeah.
You're probably talking about 6 hours.
Okay.
Per flag.
Yeah. Wow. And I've seen the quality of them. I had one myself quite some time ago. Unfortunately, it was taken from me. And what's the standard size? I think I had like a standard size of, I don't know, about 4 foot. Is it? What's the regular size that people will order?
So it changes because of stadium regulations. When I first started, everything was 12 foot by 6. Oh. Everybody wanted a 12 by 6 flag. And then it went down to 10 by 5 because they're just too big, the 12 by 6s. They were taking up too much space, so people sort of saying, why have you got such a big flag? I can't fit mine in now, sort of thing. So it reduced to 10 by 5, and then for about 2 or 3 years, that's all we did, 10 by 5s. Everybody wanted 10 by 5. And unfortunately, then the regulations came in. It's now 8 by 4 people still order 10 by 5 and 12 by 6s, but 90% of the flags we make are 8 by 4.
Yeah. You mentioned about like the regulations for sizes and that. I know that from people I spoke to recently, like for the Euros just gone, where they were after flags, that there was a fire retardant certificate needed. Is that something that sort of affected you?
Well, not really. But I can tell you a funny story though, because all our flags were have a label on saying that they're not flame retardant, because there's no such thing. Even the space shuttle wasn't flame retardant.
That's true.
It's anything will catch a light if it's under certain situations. But the idea of a flag being flame retardant is if, say, somebody puts a cigarette on it, or it will just burn a hole. It just won't catch fire.
Oh,
You'll get a hole through it. You'll get a hole, and then say some person tries to set fire to it. If you hold the, if you say you put a lighter underneath the flag and it caught light, and then you took the lighter away, it would catch light, but it will self-extinguish itself.
It wouldn't spread, I guess.
That's the idea. So it will catch a light. It would self-extinguish. It would just fizz out. Yeah. But you'll still get a damage. Your flag will still be damaged, but it just wouldn't spread into a massive fireball.
So did you have to do a lot of testing for that?
Well, no, I don't. What happens is because you can't test every single flag because it will cost you an absolute fortune, and B, you get scorch marks on it. So what you have to do is you get a sample of material that you use, and you send it away to a testing house, and they test it, and they give you a certificate, and that's what you can use for if ever you get asked by a steward or
it's proof. Yeah,
we put a label. What we do, we put a label on the back of the flag saying it's fire retardant, tested by a certain testing house.
Gotcha.
And then, but the problem was, this is the funny story. Just before the last Euros, the day before England were playing their first game, fans were getting emails saying that to take their flag into a stadium, they had to have a certificate.
That's right.
And
yes.
And the label on the flag wasn't good enough. This was the Germans being super efficient, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, it was the worst night of my life because I literally got, I think it was around about 700 emails. It was my computer just literally melted. I couldn't keep up.
The feeling.
The emails were just coming in, ping, 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 ping. Not only were the emails coming in, but I was getting texts, I was getting Messenger, I was getting Instagram messages, and it was all people saying, "We've just heard that we're not allowed to take our flag in unless we have a paper certificate." So then I had to dig up. I had to find the certificate. I scanned it, and then I was just sending these emails all through the night.
Oh no!
Till about 4 a.m, and I thought I can't go on anymore. And this is when my eyes were going. So I thought I've got to get some sleep. So I went but I couldn't sleep with the worry. If you know what I mean.
I imagine.
And then anyway, so I got up at 7, and my phone was absolutely chock with messages. And we need a fire certificate. But no doubt you've been asked this before. But can you supply a certificate? So I did. I carried on all through the morning, sending them out, and it did actually. I got so much thanks in the end. People were saying what you did was absolutely amazing. How you got all those certificates out for people? And then the worst thing was,
I know what you're going to say.
They never asked.
I know.
And people just took. I think they realised what they were asking was just too much.
Yeah,
it was just too much to get people to show the certificates on entrance to the stadium. Yeah. But it was there, and I did my bit, and I think it helped. I think it helped my the reputation I've got, because everybody says what a good job I did, and not many people would have stayed up all night doing what I did. I don't think.
Fair play to yeah. And to be honest, as when I go to England games, especially the away ones, and when you see all the England flags hung around the stadium, it always looks a great sight. I know there's obviously your flags there; there'll be other flags, but it's always such a great sight. And so it would have been a shame had there not have been so many there because of this certificate issue. So yeah, I'll take my hat off to you. Well done for that. I mean, it's not just this country that you supply flags to. They go all over the world, don't they?
Yeah, I've had I have orders from America. I would say if I had to say who the most countries are, I would say Italy's. See, the thing about Italy, the Italian ultras, they're not allowed to buy flags from a flag maker. You've got to make your own.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the ultras. It's one of the sort of rules of the ultras is you can't buy a flag. When you can buy the small ones, but the big ones have to be made by the fans themselves. And they fill them in with felt pen, and they get 20, 30 people will literally colour in a flag, or they'll paint it.
Yeah.
Now I got somebody from Italy rang me up and he said, "We've had permission to get a flag from you made now." So I said, "Right, what do you mean got a permission?" So he said, "Oh, there's don't you know if you're in the ultras, you're not allowed to buy a flag from a company, but apparently they've given you they've authorized us to be able to buy from you because you make your flags, they're handmade.
Right.
They're not done by a machine or in a factory sort of thing. They're handmade. So it's quite what they're saying is it's an honor for you to be given the permission to make flags for us.
Oh, wow.
Because nobody else, it's never ever happened before. So, and one or two other people were saying the same thing. And so I started making flags for mainly Lazio.
I was going to ask, what club was it?
I think it was Lazio. It was Lazio.
Wow.
It has to be Lazio because it's certainly not Juventus and it's certainly not Roma. So it definitely Lazio. Definitely.
Wow.
Or Lazio. I can't say it. I'm not very good at pronouncing things. Anyway, so yeah, so I get quite a lot of work from Italy. I get loads of work from Norway.
Right.
America's big as well. The strangest one was China.
Okay.
Because he said we have so many factories in China where we can get the flags made here, but they're not a patch on your quality. So it's like quite strange to export to China.
That's the ultimate endorsement, I think, isn't it?
Everything comes from China these days. So to get an order to go into China.
Yeah.
Although we made a flag for a guy in Hong Kong as well. Unfortunately, he got arrested because I don't know what was on this flag, but it was illegal, and he got.
Oh, it was in their script, was it?
It was a crest.
Oh, I see.
And he took the flag to a game. I don't know what team it was, but he was arrested, and they destroyed the flag.
Oh.
Because of what this, it's something to do with Hong Kong and China. I don't know the politics of that, but anyway.
Well, one flag I'd love to ask you about was one goes back to, I think it was 2006 for the World Cup. It was a really, really big England flag.
Oh yeah.
Can you tell us anything about that one?
That one, I've still got a bad back because of that flag. Because where I was working at the time, well, still working, but in that factory, but we had a floor above it where it was a huge floor. It's just a massive, great big room, and it's all been made into units now. But when I made that flag, it was a huge room. It was perfect to make this type of flag. So it was, I think it was about 150 foot. I can't remember the exact size, but it was the biggest flag we've ever made. I don't know if when you've got a flag and you're working on it, and then you want to turn it over. Now, most times you turn the flag over, it just takes you two seconds.
Yes.
But when you've got a 150 foot flag or whatever it was, I can't remember exactly. To turn it over, you can't just whiz it over. You've got to do it in stages, because otherwise it'll end up into a rope, a twisted mass of material, and you'd never ever be able to untangle it. So to turn, say we stitched a letter onto it, it said "We Believe" through the middle.
That's right. Yes.
And if let's say you've stitched on the W, and then you have to do the back to do the knots and things like that, it literally took about 2 hours to turn the flag over just to do the knots. And then you have to turn it back again. Oh, it was an absolute nightmare. And when it was all assembled and put together, it was so heavy. It took, I think it was 9 people it took to carry.
Word. And
then it made its debut at Anfield when England were playing. I don't know who they were playing, just before the Euros.
I think I went to Anfield for England-Finland game, but I can't remember off the top of my head who that was.
Well, anyway, it was at Anfield. It was a friendly, and they took this flag there. They got a van. It was driven to the stadium, and then they put it on this grassy verge outside. Held it. People took pictures of it. It was in the Daily Mirror. It was it was the headlines of the Daily Mirror, and introducing the guy who organised it. Well, unfortunately, loads of people started walking over it, and it got muddy and footprints and all sorts of things. Eventually, it was taken to Germany or Switzerland. That Euros, it was in two, wasn't it? Germany and Switzerland or something?
No, there was the World Cup in Germany 2006, and there was the Portugal Euros 2004.
Oh no, this was the World Cup.
Yeah, I thought it was 2006. Yeah,
that was it. And anyway, they took it to Germany. And then they weren't allowed to take it into the stadium.
Oh no!
Because they only allowed one flag, and then the flag that was they only allowed one large flag, and the flag that was allowed in was the nationwide one. The big one. Because
I've seen that.
And it was a bit of it was a bit sad in a funny sort of way.
I seem to remember seeing a picture of it being hung from a building. Was it someone like Sky Sports sort of endorsed it as well, or put a piece together?
No, that was we had it taken down to so it was taken down to the Soccer AM studios, and they climbed up onto the roof and dropped it down.
That was where it was.
It looked absolutely huge because they had little heads that were peering over the top of the parapet. But the crest alone I think the crest was about 20 foot.
Really?
I think it was 20 foot. And it was all hand stitched.
Yeah.
Nothing was printed.
Superb.
And then, it said, "We Believe" through the middle. It had the England 3 Lions badge in the top left. And then in the bottom, I think it had...
was there a star? 66.
Oh, there was a star in 66. That was it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, superb.
1966.
Mm.
And then I don't know what happened to it. I get asked a lot of times what happened to it, but I don't know.
No.
I know it was cut. Somebody said it got cut up. I don't know why. I don't know why they would cut it up, but I think it's because it's so big. And it was at somebody's house.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't be able to carry it around. So I probably think he's cut it up just purely to be able to maneuver it or to to do something with it. But I don't know. It's sad. But the crest alone, I would hope that the crest has been cut out, and is sat somewhere or on somebody's floor somewhere.
That'd be nice. Yeah, a big job. That one. Wow.
And when I say I've still got the bad back, I literally from when we made that flag, it did my back in. And I would never do it. If somebody asked me to do it again, I would never do it again.
Yeah, I get you. Well, I mean, you still appear to be doing really well. Flags are constantly being, as we've said, seen on the telly, and I know various people have had flags made from you. Just where we can follow you, or if we want a flag done, where's the best way to get in touch?
Just through, I've got my website is just Google Barmy Flags, and it'll come up. I'm also on Facebook, Barmy Flags, and also Instagram. Yeah. I'm not on Twitter.
Right.
I just Twitter's too. Yeah, no, I don't. We did have Twitter at one point, but people sort of. Somebody will say, how much is it for this flag? And then some other company will say, we could do it cheaper.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That was Twitter, and you wouldn't know who it was. It was, and in the end, we just came off Twitter because it was just like we were doing all the work, and people like saying we were just undercutting us, and then one guy. He literally rang up. He was crying. He's like, well, literally, I would say he was certainly upset. And he rang me up and he said, I've just ordered a flag off a company and it's turned up. And I can't possibly take this to a game. It's absolutely awful.
Really?
It's terrible. It's really. I rang you up and you gave me a price, and I rang this other company up and they gave me a price, and I went with them because they were cheaper. And I should have gone with you, but this is what I've got here. It's absolutely terrible. Absolutely, I've never ever seen anything as bad in my life. I can hold it up. And it's so thin, I can see through it. The print it's awful. And so I said, well, send it to me. If you send me that flag, I'll do you a flag. I wouldn't have a laugh myself. So anyway, he sent me it, and it was right. It was absolutely awful. It's obviously made in China somewhere. And so we made him one, and he got back to us. He said, that's what I wanted in the first place. I should have come to you.
Lesson learned.
Yeah, but it happens a lot. People will not always go for the cheaper option, but they especially this day and age, people are watching the money. But fortunately, you end up buying. The old mother's saying used to say, "Buy cheap, buy twice."
That's right. Yeah. Well, so the best place then is on the website, Barmy Flags, or was it Instagram as well?
Yeah, I haven't mentioned that. I've got two people who work for me, by the way.
I'll give them a shout, because I don't
I used to do everything myself, but it got too much. And then 2002 guy came into the unit and asked for a job. And I said, well, we haven't got any. You can clean my car if you want. So he cleaned my car, and then he came in and he said, I've cleaned it. I found some money, by the way, and he gave me some money. And I thought that very honest of him to give me the money that he found on the floor, sort of thing. And he said, is there anything else I can do? So I said, yeah, I can sweep up if you have a sweep round. This is 2002. And then, so next day he was cutting letters out and doing this and that. And he still works for me. And he's absolutely brilliant. He does all the flags, all the crests, all the embroidery. He looks after the sewing machines, and when any computer problems, he'll do that. He really is worth every penny he gets paid. He should get paid more, but I can't.
What's his name?
Oh, he's called Pete.
Pete.
Now, I can't praise him too much because Liam, my son, also works for me.
Right.
And but they're both really, really good. I couldn't run the business. I can't do what they do now. They're far, far better machinists than what I ever was. And they're both of them are brilliant. But Pete's a 1 in a million because he does all the maintenance on the sewing machines and everything. And I don't think he's ever had a day off since 2002. He's never missed a day.
Sounds like you've got a good team there working for you.
They are brilliant. Oh. I get the orders and they do the hard work.
I think you've earned it now. I think you've earned it. So it's interesting to hear how it started and how that outside of what was it, Marks and Spencer's to where you are now.
Yeah, I still go down to various football stadiums and try and get work and see people and I still I try to keep involved with the business, but mainly I just do the administration side, admin side of it now.
Well, it sounds like, as you say, you do a great job, and I wish you a successful year, successful 2025.
Well, hopefully.
Thank you so much to Charlie there for his time. Really appreciated. Some of those stories. I told you you'd find it interesting. If you are looking for a flag, drop him a line. Tell him you heard him on the pod. I'm thinking, what other company, organisation do football fans hold dearly? Are they part of your matchday ritual? Trying to think of if there's anyone similar who I could chat with. It could be, actually, could be someone. Let me know that. Yeah, no, let me know if you've got any ideas, if you'd like me to try and speak with someone in a similar vein. But let's leave it there. As always, thank you very much for your support by tuning in. Don't forget, you can follow the show over on social media. Just search Three Lions Podcast. Give it a follow, a like, a thumbs up, whatever the thing is there. There's also the Ko-fi account too, should you want to contribute to the hosting of the show. As I've previously mentioned, whilst the pod is a hobby of mine, I love doing it. It does cost me a monthly fee to push it out there to all the various platforms. So should you want to give a little, feel free. Anything is appreciated. ko-fi.com/Three Lions Podcast. I will be back with you very soon. I've been speaking with another England fan about his England journey. So that'll be coming your way very soon. Something that you are more than welcome to share too. Should you want to, just get in touch. Drop me a line. So until then, take care of yourselves. Cheers.